Whew. Alright, we just wrote a lot of lines of code. So now I'm actually going to show you another way we could have written a click listener without writing that many lines. And as developers, we like to be as concise as possible, which makes the code easier for other people to read. Now I'm here in the miwok-activity.java. Notice that we created the OnClickListener variable here, but only used it once here. So I'm going to show you a new way that we can create the object in line. So I'm going to cut that part out and replace the object here. Nice. Now we can go ahead and delete this line. And now the code is simplified and looks like this. So less lines of code, right? Looks better. I'm going to show you how we can make it even more concise. So instead of creating an entirely new numbers click listener class in a completely new file, we can actually declare it in line when we're calling the setOnClickListener method. So now I'm going to replace what I just put in here, this new numbers click listener, with OnClickListener. And remember the numbers click listener implemented from the OnClickListener class. Now I'm going to add an open brace and go ahead and implement the onClick method right here in line. So no extra Java class would be needed. Now I can put anything I want in the onClick method. I can display a toast or make it open the numbers activity or anything else. So given that, let's add some code to open the numbers activity. And if you remember the code from before, we can create a new intent and call start activity on that intent. And let's see what that looks like. Remember to pay close attention to the closing braces, parentheses, and semicolons at the end of each sentence. So it's very commonplace to miss one, but luckily in Android Studio, remember that if you click on a brace, it'll highlight its brace partner. Now I'm going to go back and delete the numbers click listener file because it's not going to be used anywhere now. I've essentially moved that code into my main activity. What we learned before is equivalent to this new way of creating click listeners. And here are the same 3 steps in a shorter number of lines of code. For the most part, I always set up my click listeners this way, in line as they are needed. It makes the code easier to read because the logic of the click listener is close by the view, as opposed to in a separate file. Of course, there are always cases when this isn't that ideal. But if you have a click listener that is used in many places across your code, then you don't have to keep copy and pasting the same block of code in different files in your app. Now it's your turn. Within the main activity file, attach click listeners to each of the category views for numbers, phrases, colors, and family members. Declare the click listeners in line, as we showed you most recently. And we've included the code for you to use as a reference. Good luck!